And with that, our own personal running back, the one, the only, Leroy Hoard.
Leroy.
Hey,
Wow,
up,
he's
Leroy?
got a different
What's
background.
up, fellas?
I almost didn't recognize you with
no.
that new background, brother.
No, it's not new. I'm in the studio.
Oh, you're at the radio station, huh?
Yeah, normally I'm at home, so that's
I
why
got
it's
you.
a little bit different.
First of all, it's good to see you again. We've missed you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
happening?
What's your remembrance of Jim Brown? I imagine you had a relationship with him as he was always in to watch Cleveland. Right. What can you remember about Jim?
So I had a unique situation in that every Monday I go pick Jim up and we go golfing after home games. And then when I got done with football and I came down to Florida, he would come and we would golf in Florida.
Wow.
It'd be me, him, another guy, and LT. We golf all the time.
Wow.
So I had a chance to, BS with him, have serious conversations. I loved hearing we go back and forth about when he played versus, when I played. But if you ever heard Jim Brown talk, he never really talked about back in my day, right? He never said how different things were. And I would always make fun of him because I'd say, you're supposed to be the best. You weighed more than half of your linemen, right? One of the most important lessons that I ever learned from him, besides all the stories and just, I always wanted to know what it was like, right? I think today we don't realize because we kind of just brush over how difficult it was to be an African-American athlete back in those days. And so I always like hearing stories, from people that actually went through it. And it kind of just made me aware of what life was like. And he would say, there's something, if you're going to play a running back, you can never do. Don't ever let the defense think they got you, right? Because it gives them energy. He say, no matter how hard you get hit, no matter how much they talk trash, you get up and keep going about your day. And eventually it'll catch up to them. And so that was kind of, my attitude when I played, and people would talk trash, push up off of me, do various things. And I would say, see me in the fourth quarter because I'm gonna still be here. Let's see if you can still do this for 4 quarters. But always fun talking to him. He was one of those guys that if you ask him a question and you wanted to know the truth about it, he was your guy. If you didn't want to get your feelings hurt or you didn't want to be insulted, then don't ask Jim an important question because he's going to tell you like it is. But I appreciated that. I never had a problem with that because I knew it was coming from a good place. And I think that's the thing that when he was around the Browns camp or he talked to anybody, he would have a conversation with anybody, right? But you had to know that if you were out there and you wasn't doing what you need to do, he was going to let you know.
Hey, Leroy, obviously when he retired, he was getting into movies. We talked about Dirty Dozen before, and he was very much involved with other big-time athletes at the time in the civil rights movement. But he was still at the top of his game when he retired. We talked about it before. I mean, 1,500 yards and 21 touchdowns in his last season. Over all the years that you talked with him, my guess is no, but I was wondering, did he ever regret retiring when he did, or just he had too many other things he wanted to do, I guess?
It wasn't even that. He just said, I'm ready to do something different.
Yeah.
You got to respect that because, it's easy for us to look through somebody else's situation and tell them what they should do, right? Sure. Oh, you could have played 4 or 5 more years. Really? Because maybe Jim felt like he couldn't, right? We don't know what that man was thinking.
Sure.
And so you just kind of respect that. He went on to do other things. He went on to be active in the community and things like that. I just wish that people had an opportunity to get to know the side of Jim that I did, because there ain't a picture you don't see with Jim Brown where you go, that dude is still terrifying. And I had to do my squishy ball before I hooked up with him, because he was gonna squeeze the hell out of your hand. I was like, I ain't going here I ain't going out here. I ain't going to here soft. So I did a couple. I squeezed that. We stare at each other and give that look at him. Yeah, like you had to. It was something else. But when you spend 4.5 hours riding in a cart and playing golf with somebody, and we would play every Monday, like I said, every Monday. So we talked a lot. I remember one time we went golfing, right? So they leave us a cart. I go pick Jim up. We go to golf course, the cart be there. We get out, we start playing. We both hit a ball on the front tee. He get out and walk. Now I'm hitting on the gas. I'm going, because he ain't walking fast. I say, Jim, get your butt in the car. We ain't got all day. He said, I'm trying to exercise. No, you're not. So, and it was cool because, like, I had more a personal relationship than a football relationship, right? Because we did other things. And then when it came down to football, if I wanted to know anything, I asked him. But I think he was there less about football and more about a way of life, more about helping young men get through the sports and life, and just how difficult it could be for either us or anybody from that standpoint.
Leroy, nice to meet you. Boogie Roberts here. I just wanted to
What's
know.
happening, man?
A lot of athletes, they just retire and sell off into the sunset, enjoy retirement. We don't hear from them again. Why did it mean so much to Mr. Brown to become an activist and do so much for the community after his post-playing days? Like, why did that part have such a hold in his heart?
I would say for the same reason why Muhammad Ali felt that way, the same way Kareem felt that way, the same way all the Bill Russell, they all felt a need because they had that platform. See, now there's more athletes and more musicians that have a platform. We got social media. We have everybody is clamoring to hear what these athletes and stars want to say. And so there's more of a platform. Back then, nobody really cared about what you had to say, so you had to stomp the door down, right? And make yourself heard. There's a difference. There's a difference in people wanting to hear what you have to say and making yourself heard. So collectively, a lot of the athletes back in those days made themselves heard. They supported one another with, the Muhammad Ali situation. They all felt that they had an opportunity to let people know what was going on in our community and try to do something and be champions for that cause. So times are different, back then. Now I would say that, when guys retire, everybody's not looking for that next best thing, right? I know for me, it took me a few years just to survive football, right? I had to get my mind right. I had to get things in order. I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And so it wasn't that it wasn't a plan. It's that when I decided to retire from football, I just didn't show up. I just stopped going. Like they say, hey, where are you? I say, no, I'm done. It was no big, announcement or anything like that. I just had enough. My body wasn't ready. So I didn't know that it was going to come like that. but I had to, adjust my life and accordingly.
Did he help you through that, Leroy?
I mean, if you mean taking my money on the golf course, then no. Now, keep in mind, he can still play. But it wasn't a matter of helping me. It was just like once I made that decision to not play anymore, then that means you open yourself up to doing something else.
Yeah.
Right? The first thing I wanted to do when I stopped playing football is get healthy. And when I tell you with the things that were done in my body, it took me 3 years.
Wow.
Just to be able to be reasonably healthy. So when you talk about, okay, I retired, and then it took me 3 years to get to where I could get up with a reasonable amount of pain. Then I take that next step, right? Make a decision on what I'm going to do next. Now, the one thing I'll say, contrary to most people, before I was healthy enough, I could always talk. So I just kind of matriculated onto that. And next thing you know, my only regret now is that I don't charge you guys by the word.
We couldn't afford it, brother.
We couldn't afford one Leroy answer if he was charging by the word.
Yeah. The show would be bankrupt.
That's also a testament to how special he was to have that smooth transition, to be able to go from football to something that takes a very special
now, keep
person
in mind,
to be able to do that.
I would say this, like, there's a different level of star there too.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, I knew Jim Brown the person, but the rest of the world saw Jim Brown as an icon, as a star, both on and off the golf course. Off the football field. So from that standpoint, he had the luxury of being able to leave football and go into something like that.
Sure.
Right? I wasn't there. So I'm not going to even act like, why couldn't I do what Jim did? Because I wasn't Jim Brown. Leroy,
tell us something that would surprise us about Jim Brown, the man.
That, contrary to popular belief, he wasn't always so serious. Right?
Did he have a good sense of humor?
I mean, he laughed when something was funny, but you still, look, Jim Brown was still Jim Brown. And you can imagine, how would you have a conversation with Jim Brown? Everybody was like that. Even though I might have had a different relationship, right? To make him chuckle was like an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean he didn't have a sense of humor. It just seems like you have to understand, this man had to carry himself a certain way because of how he grew up in the era that he played football. So he always had to carry himself a certain way as kind of the person that everybody looked to, right? So he never really, he always was a little more on the serious side. But it didn't mean that.
He was intimidating as hell.
Yes. That was the craziest thing. The first time, I'm like, listen, there's two people that I was starstruck by. Jim Brown, but then I got to know him and that kind of went away, right? I mean, there's nothing like going to Browns camp and going, that's Jim Brown. No, dude, that's Jim Brown, right?
Right, yeah.
And the other person was Gail Sayers.
Wow.
And the reason why is, as a kid, that was the first time you actually saw a movie with real football footage, and Brian saw.
Yeah, you're right.
And just to kind of hear that story and see that story was incredible. So when I got a chance to meet Gail, I was speechless.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't speechless with Jim Brown because he always made you feel welcome, right? He didn't shun away from anybody's conversation. So he always made you feel comfortable, even though he would maybe be considered a little more on the serious side. And I didn't hold that against him because guess what? I don't know if any of us as black athletes could have lived the life that those men lived in those days and still be able to perform in this world, right? Like, there's so many other things that, imagine being the best player in the NFL, you go to a hotel and you got to stay in a different hotel. You better than anybody that's staying in the good hotel, you got to go stay in the blacks only hotel.
Wow.
So I'm never, when all these guys talk and you hear them talk and they say, oh, it's old school or whatever, I've never held that against them because I have no idea, and none of us have no real idea. Even if they tell you the story, you have no idea what it was like growing up in those times.
Leroy, last thing on a lighter note, you mentioned movies, right? Jim Brown and Lawrence Taylor, who you played golf with all the time, both were in Any Given Sunday. How did they not get you a spot in there?
Was it 99, wasn't it? They come out, what year did they come out?
I don't remember
That sounds about right.
around
Late 90s. Yeah, you're probably right.
Because we were still playing football.
Wow.
That's fair enough. We needed you in there, Leroy.
I do need to see Leroy in a movie.
Yeah.
Tell me this man couldn't act.
He 100%.
Tell me this
maybe
man
we
could
get
not
one
act.
going.
Yeah, let's
Boogie,
do it.
yeah,
Maybe
Boogie's,
we do a
Boogie's
short, maybe we do
dabbling
a
in some
short film or
acting, too.
something. Hold on now, yeah.
Yeah. Leroy Hoard,
Hey, I'm
Boogie
in for
Roberts.
it.
Yeah, you got the face for Hollywood, bro.
Hey, you got the face for radio.
See, I was complimenting you. I was not being sarcastic. I was actually being honest.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my bad.
When I first
Oh, yeah. See, I know. Because we take so many jabs at one another, he thought I was kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, tell me that man couldn't play
He definitely could.
any role that you want him to be funny, he'll be funny. You want him to be intimidating, he can do that.
I can see him being a Marvel
You
villain.
want him to be
villain?
Marvel
Yeah,
villain.
Marvel
Oh, yeah.
And he's come back,
it,
I got a face for radio.
When I first heard that joke, I didn't really get it. And then I said, and I'm like, wait, radio, you don't see him.
Yeah,
Like, wow,
exactly.
Wow.
Thanks, Leroy. I love you, brother.
Wow.
I love
See
you,
you,
man.
Leroy.
Come on,
Jay, you look good-
Come
Jay,
on,
you look
Jay.
good to
know
me,
I love
Jay.
You, man. You know I love you. You know
I know,
I love you.
and you're still my favorite.
Jay, you look good to
Yeah.
me. Don't let it.
I'll listen to Boogie on that one. Leroy, it's great having you on.
Thank you, Leroy.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
We
guys.
enjoyed the insight. We really did.
All
Oh,
right.
by the way, before we
All right, brothers.
if we were to add up all of the golf bets between you and Jim, are you plus or minus against him?
Y'all want to hear another golf story?
Yeah, we got time.
So, let me show you why Jim is intimidating. We were playing at a golf course in Miami, and the 9th hole is a par 3, and Alton Road is to the right of the 9th hole. Jim hit his ball. It goes to the right. We can't find it. Me and LT hit our ball. We're somewhere around the green. We look up, and Jim is over two lane roads taking a practice swing to hit his ball out of somebody's front yard. LT say, Jim, that's out of bounds. And Jim say, I don't see no stakes. And he just kind of strong. He just kind of deboed the situation. So we basically let him hit a ball across two-lane highways.
Oh my God.
Over the street onto the green. Because he's strong-armed
Lion
us.
3.
No, he ain't take no drop.
He didn't take
He
a
ain't take
stroke.
no penalty, nothing.
Did he
They
hit the
say
par putt?
The street is out about. No, he made par. That's not the point. The point is he strong-armed us into thinking that he could drive across a highway to go hit his golf ball because there wasn't no white states.
Leroy, could you imagine the owner of that house seeing somebody, probably for the first time in the entire time he's lived there, swinging a golf club in his front yard, come
And it
flying
be
out
Jim
the front
Brown.
door to chew him out, and it's Jim Brown? Never
It
mind.
ain't happening. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, even as one of the nicest guys I've had the pleasure of talking to, he was still intimidating.
Yeah,
We all know that. Everybody,
that
you
scowl
ain't
on
never
his
seen a
face.
picture. You've never seen a picture of Jim Brown where you didn't say that man looks terrifying.
Yeah, that's true. That
Great
was that was
story.
part of his natural DNA
Amazing
makeup.
story.
That's great. I'm glad you told it, Leroy. We'll talk soon, man.
See you, Leroy.
All right, brother.
See you
Later.
Leroy.
Have a good one. All
That
righty.
is pretty good.
Oh man.